Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tales from the Fog. I am your host, Casey, and with me once again is the amazing and wonderful Veronica. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Any fun news on your side of the world?
I wouldn't call it fun, but I'm officially laid off now. A couple episodes ago, I described the getting handed a box. So what their agreement was everyone who was laid off technically was on the books for another 2 months. Well, we've hit that 2 months, and I'm a free agent, officially. So it means that technically I'm a voice actor and stunt person full time. At least that's my job. I don't know if I can call it full time, really. But efforts are dedicated full time to the study and progression of both. Hoping, not just hoping, but knowing that it's going to be, our next stream of revenue, and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
It is going to be fun. It's been a trip, though. It's been really cool being able to. I still kind of feel like I'm pretending to play house and be a stay-at-home mom. I get to be there to pick him up and help him with his homework, and that kind of. It's been fun living that life for a little while, and I'm hoping that even if I'm working full time, doing voiceover from home. And even if I have to leave the house now and then for shoots, for stunts, or for, background or, whatever else I'm working on, that I could still be there for the pub.
Yeah.
That's been pretty cool. What's
We'll
new
see
with
how
you?
it goes. Just working.
You are working.
A lot.
From home.
Tons of projects in the fire. Between the Gay Brigade and all the other things going on, have been very, very busy.
In a really good way. Yeah, your involvement with the brigade is always significant and noticed by everybody. It's not hyperbole to suggest that what you do influences every single person who watches our show. So your involvement continues in a really big way. And I think that the creativity level has been bumped because of your skill, and also the voices of the group.
Yeah.
have come forward and suggested a lot of really cool things, and this year's shows are not going to disappoint at all.
No, they're gonna be fun.
Yeah, but that in large part is what you do.
Yeah,
you don't toot your own horn ever, so I will toot it for you. Giggity. So your hard work does not go unnoticed. So thank you for what you do for the brigade.
Thank you. It is a lot of hard work, but it also is a lot of fun. So
yeah, every time I look at you, you're sitting at your computer and you can see Audacity in the little sound file just covering the entire screen for 70 layers or however many it is that it takes to make a song in Audacity. But it's really cool to see. You look like you're having a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, it is.
Good.
Speaking of work, I guess.
The fun work?
Not a good segue. We'll work on the segue there. Let's talk about some rumors and stuff going on. So, Halloween Horror Nights at Hollywood. They confirmed American Horror Story. So we're getting another American Horror Story maze.
Was that one of the ones that you had predicted?
It is one of the ones that I predicted.
Well done.
Strong rumor for The Shining.
Ooh.
Still hasn't officially been announced, but it's looking pretty good, which is another one that I predicted.
Of course.
And then there's rumors for one of the other mazes, or possibly the tram ride, being It.
Ooh,
off
wait.
Off the new movie that's coming out soon.
Oh, it's the Pennywise the Clown, right?
Yes.
Okay, I was thinking of The Thing. All these tiny words from the 80s.
There, he did The Thing.
Yeah, that was the one where you walk through, it was like the refrigerator.
Yeah.
That was fun.
So what do you think about an It maze or Scare Zone?
So, that's interesting because I saw It when I was little. I saw a lot of traumatizing movies when I was little.
I did too. I think I was like 6 or 7 when I watched it.
But see, here's where it gets weird, is I was traumatized by Chucky, which you were not.
No.
I was traumatized by Pinhead, which you were not.
No.
I watched It and was fine.
And it
gave
scared the
you nightmares.
shit out of me.
What the hell? Why?
There was a long time where I would not walk near storm drains. Like walking to school, going to the school bus or whatever, I would avoid storm drains like the plague.
And I would avoid lifelike looking dolls for the same reason. It's just something about it really spoke to you, I guess.
Yeah.
So I guess what the question is how do you feel about an It maze or scare zone?
Well, the funny thing is the first attraction that I was a scare actor at Knott's, I was a clown, which was just really weird. I never put clowns in my home haunt, ever. It wasn't, I don't know if that was subliminal from my childhood or what.
You would think that if something was really scary to you, that would be the first thing that you'd put in there.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I don't know. Okay. So I love clowns in general. I think a clown maze and making it scary is really hard. I think it's something that even C3, they bend more in the comedy direction as opposed to like hardcore scary, where it was very hardcore scary. There wasn't much comedy in it.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see how they pull that together.
I think it depends on the audience to say whether clowns are scary or not, because some people really freak out with clowns. Yeah. Like just C3 clowns, which, I agree that they weren't terribly scary, but like what would be scary for me is, I think we've talked about this before, where I fear that some psycho came in off the street, killed one of the monsters, put on their costume, and then started scaring people. Like, to me, a clown seems like a pretty easy thing to do.
Yeah.
Like, it could happen to anybody. But for some reason, a clown kind of relates to them psychologically because they're a little offbeat, or, they've got a funky past, they express themselves in a weird way, whatever. Mm-hmm. But to me, that seemed like the easiest avenue for someone to just come in, slop on some makeup, and be a psycho amongst a place where they could easily get away with it.
Yeah.
So to me, it's scary, but only from that sense, because I'm not easily spooked for really any like actual concept. Like the vampire maze doesn't scare me because I don't believe in vampires,
Yeah.
But like a clown is a person who's playing a character or is genuinely effed up, and this is how they live their life. So I guess it depends on who you are. And some people just, it's kind of like yours with the Pennywise thing, but they either freely or not freely just let it get taken to the next level.
Maybe. I mean, the thing with it too, they didn't explore it as much in the TV series. Maybe they'll explore it more in the movie. But in the book, he's a shapeshifter. So he can actually take form, like really any kind of form, kind of like, the Thing. He can just kind of transform into whatever he wants. The reason why he shows himself as a clown to the kids is because the kids can relate to a clown.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of takes on a form that you kind of relate to.
Kind of like, can you help me find my puppy?
Yeah. So I don't know if the new movie explores that further, and there's scenes with him as a clown, and maybe he does some other diabolical things.
Maybe like showing the trial and error process of what form lures the most kiddies.
Maybe.
I would be curious to see. So, to answer your question, I'm looking very much forward to seeing how they live that out, if they have multiple versions of the clown, or like when you have a scary movie and there's one villain, it's interesting to make a scare zone out of that. It's more interesting to make a maze because you kind of go through your different scenes and you can have this guy doing this and then there's this guy doing this. But like a scare zone, if you walk down the street and you see 5 Freddys, it kind of loses its flavor after the third, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But the maze would be better.
Yeah. So will they be all makeup characters?
I would assume so, yeah.
I hope so. That would be great with the teeth.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be really cool. Any other rumors from the horror nights?
I think that's pretty much it right now. Other than that, they've started construction at Hollywood. So the tents are up in the Jurassic Park queue line and the Mummy queue line. That's all that's been spotted so far.
Are the rides open still?
Yeah, they use the extended queues. So when the rides were brand new, they had like huge lines. So they had these big extended queue areas, which they don't use anymore for the normal days.
Mm-hmm.
So they convert that into maze locations.
Neat.
Yeah. And usually the Jurassic Park one is a pretty big one. It usually ends up being one of like the tentpole mazes. I guess there's probably a lot of room back there.
That's interesting. You know what? Their mazes are so developed and their queue lines are so good that I kind of forget what venue is where. Like what maze ends up in what part of the park, because it's also, I don't go there often, so I don't think I have it as ingrained in my memory.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The queue lines and everything at Universal, like, they're so immersive that I can't connect. Like you go to Knott's Berry Farm and you know that, like, the Malice in Wonderland was in the go-karts, if I remember correctly.
Bumper cars.
Yeah, go-karts was in the bumper cars, because it looks like the bumper cars on the outside. I don't feel like that at Universal. I feel like it's a completely different. But again, that could be me not doing as good a job at remembering what the layout is or what venues they have.
They've moved maze locations a lot.
Do they do that all the time? Like the same maze isn't at the same place?
Mummy and Jurassic Park have always been used. But yeah, there's other locations. Like up in the French Quarter area, there was like kind of the area where the VIP lounge was.
I remember that.
There used to be a maze. They used to put a maze there.
Wasn't that the scare zone with like the big white wigs?
That was the Dark Christmas scare zone.
Okay. I do remember that.
Yeah.
Where was the Purge scare zone? Was that at the front?
Kind of by where the Simpsons is. The Simpsons theme park.
Yeah.
Zone area is, I guess.
Okay. And then where was La Llorona?
That area's gone now.
It is?
But it was over by, I think it was by where the Wild West Stunt Show Theater was. But they tore that out. They have the new Central Park kind of area with the new building and the kind of park area up top.
Oh, okay.
That they did that at the same time they were building the Wizarding World of Harry Potter.
That's what was different. The Harry Potter stuff wasn't there the last time we went to Horror Nights.
Mm-hmm. Another fun rumor, staying in the theme park vein, is there's a rumor coming out, and I guess this maybe is in conjunction with a previous rumor, but the rumor is a new Haunted Mansion bar, or possibly bar and restaurant, might be opening at Walt Disney World in the Magic Kingdom. I'm totally all in on that. If they made a Haunted Mansion themed bar in the Magic Kingdom, like, I'm packing my bags tomorrow. Like, let's go.
That's amazing. Do they sell alcohol anywhere in Disney World, Magic Kingdom?
Not currently, but there is. As far as I know, they're going to start this summer.
Do they have what's Club 33 like we have?
Yeah, they have a Club 33. And I heard that they're going to make another club, like, same thing, but for other parks or something.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
But if it's Haunted Mansion themed, does that mean, like, cool relics from props past?
I'm thinking something like the Trader Joe's at Disneyland Hotel, but Haunted Mansion. So, like, cool, like, you order some drinks and you get cool special effects.
Yeah.
Maybe they have a drink called the Madame Leota and, like, she appears in the crystal ball and, like, tells you your fortune or something. Aww. That'd be awesome. There's just so many things you could do.
Definitely. And then also the parts of history would be in there too, because just like the one, like Trader Sam's has, like, just random bits of Disney lore.
Yeah.
Hidden in there, then this place, I'm sure, will have it too.
Yeah. So that'd be really
sounds
cool.
like fun.
But, so, I mean, maybe they're just really on this with, we want to add a creepy bar thing, because a few months ago, maybe even a year ago, a rumor came out that they were going to make a Tower of Terror bar. And they were going to put it at the Tower of Terror in Florida.
I may have asked you this already. Is the Tower of Terror in Florida getting the Guardians or the whatever treatment that this one is getting?
No.
Okay.
As far as everybody's been saying, it's no. Because they are planning a Guardians of the Galaxy ride for Epcot.
Okay. So they'll keep those separate.
At least that's the rumor.
That would be nice, because then they can have that kind of bar with the old school, black and white, spooky kind of theme.
Yeah. But I think a Haunted Mansion bar would be cooler, personally.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think you can do a lot of fun stuff that's very in line with this podcast, actually. Like tarot cards and Ouija boards and all sorts of fun otherworldly things can happen.
Totally.
Speaking of tarot cards, would you like to speak about the adventure that we had last week?
Yes. So, keeping it in the spirit of things, perhaps.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah.
Nice play on words there.
So Albert over at westcoaster.net, go visit now. Go ahead.
Woohoo!
Go over. He invited us out to the Red Lantern Escape Room out in Brea, California. It was I've done escape room before. It was your first time.
Mm-hmm.
So a little bit on this venue, they named it the Red Lantern because it was based off of the original movie house that opened in the 1920s in Brea. They didn't want the name to tie them down in any way, so they wanted to be able to do a lot of different things. They picked a really cool name so that they can kind of treat it like a movie house, which is really fun.
Mm-hmm.
And the current escape room is called Midnight on the Bayou. And the theme is basically you're going back to your high school reunion. And a long time ago, I guess I'm assuming when you were in school, 5 of your classmates died in a horrible barn fire.
Like you do.
Like you do. And so you go back to the reunion, and the spirits come back and trap you in limbo. And basically your job, in order to escape, is to free each of the spirits. And so, that's pretty much it. So what did you think?
Having absolutely no point of reference other than listening to you talk about ones that you have done, I thought it was great. It was a lot of fun. I'm trying to remember, no spoilers. It was very, very thoughtful. I thought that the problems you had to solve were fun and very thought out and not terribly complicated. It's from what I understand, having talking to Albert, it's pretty much in line with an escape room. It goes as deep as you think an escape room would, which I suppose is good, because if you don't know what you're doing, you don't have to sit there, drilling too long in order to move along in the storyline.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. It had, the Aristotelian unities. It was, great character leading you through. Awesome, blips from the ghosts, not saying what they say to you or anything, but, it was really cool getting that, multi, media involvement. It wasn't scary. It wasn't designed to be scary. It's kind of family friendly. I thought it was great. I thought it was a lot of fun. We did not succeed. We missed it by seconds. Well, we think we missed it by seconds, but there was a part that there was a whole layer to something that we didn't get. So I guess you could say we missed it by a couple of minutes, but, we didn't escape.
Well, we were on the last
last puzzle but we did miss a very crucial clue within that puzzle. So, we kind of earned getting stuck, but it was great. I had a ball.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So for those of you that have done escape rooms, I would say definitely check out Red Lantern. Mm-hmm. It was really, really cool. And they do a lot of things differently. I'm trying to think. I don't want to give spoilers away. So one of the really cool things that they do is most escape rooms, it's kind of like follow the clues, get the answer, open the lock, get the next clue, begin following those clues. What they do here is there's actually some technology in there. There's a lot of parts where you can trigger actions to happen. Mm-hmm. And so there's a whole multimedia layer on top of this involving the other ghosts. And you can actually trigger things to happen. And sometimes you have, I don't even know how to describe it without giving stuff away. We'll just leave it at that. You can actually trigger events within the room based on your actions and how you're solving the clue. Mm-hmm. So that was really unique because there's not usually that added layer. Usually it's like, I got the clue, I open the lock, I got the next clue. Mm-hmm. This is like, you get the clue, you open the lock, cool thing happens, another layer to the story is added on top, if you're paying attention to everything that's going on around you. Mm-hmm. And then just the really cool things that they do with stuff that you don't really notice when you first get in the room. So there's layers upon layers upon layers of stuff in this room. And when you first walk in, you get like a very surface level view of everything. And by the time you're done, I mean, it's like every nook and cranny of this room you've searched, and you've seen so much more than you even thought was there. But one of the cool things that's interesting is most escape rooms, your group is left to their own devices. You're locked in the room. You guys have to figure out the puzzle. Occasionally you have a lifeline, like when we did Crossroads escape games. There's a telephone on the wall. Either they would call you and you get hints, or you could pick up the phone and ask for a hint. But you were very separated from anything that was going on outside the room. In this one, the host of the evening is in the room with you. And so he kind of is adding this whole other character layer on top of everything. And he kind of does really cool things with individuals within the group. Like a lot of people kind of got like a cool little individual thing with the character. He does a lot of work with kind of pushing you in the right direction with just the right amount of hinting, but not blatantly giving you away anything. And so it was really cool. It was a totally, with the multimedia layer and having the character involved and all that stuff. It was a really different experience. It's still an escape room. And we haven't even mentioned the size of this room. It's the escape room is 1,000 square feet. So you walk into this room and it's kind of sectioned off into like 3 sections, sort of.
Is it that big?
Yeah, the room is 1,000 square feet.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
So you have a lot of room to cover in this thing, and it's recommended. You can do it with 2 people. I mean, they say they've done it with 2 people, but it's recommended a minimum of 6. I would say you want 10 people.
Yeah.
Just so you could, if you had 10 people, you could break up into groups of 2, and that would really help you in figuring, kind of breaking up into groups of 2 and then following puzzle lines as, your individual groups would really help. Because we only went with 5 people because we couldn't really team up because there was so much to do. Because again, it's 1,000 square feet and you have a bunch of ghosts that you have to free, and all of them have kind of different storylines and things. We were kind of all over the place. So I think that kind of also hurt us a little bit, not having enough people. But yeah, overall, I mean, I totally give them a 10 out of 10. It was a lot of fun.
Wow. Positive marks.
Yeah.
I can't say if it's how many out of how many. All I know is I had fun. It was cool. And they kind of rewarded you for noticing things. Like, I didn't know if I was kind of like allowed to get peeks at things. So I tried to kind of keep to myself. Now that I've done it, I know that I am allowed, and I'm actually supposed to try to absorb as many details as possible. Yeah. But like, I was noticing little things everywhere, and they wouldn't matter until later. But I didn't want to pay too much attention to them at first because I didn't want them to throw me off. Because just not being familiar with how these things work. So looking back, like the things that I noticed before, and I was like, I wonder if that's going to matter later. I wonder if that'll matter later. And then it all ended up mattering later. Yeah. So it helped me, like, later on, like later stages in the game went by super fast because I was like, oh, that goes there. This is part of this, blah, 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 But, there's no way to know that going in. Yeah, and, these kind of things, they definitely reward curiosity and detail-oriented people. Like, if you're really curious and detail-oriented, you'll thrive, because there was a lot of things, like, there was some stuff that our host said that we got really quick that a lot of people don't. That's interesting. And it was just, I don't know if it was just kind of the experience, because having done them before, but there was some stuff that we were just lost on, like, for a long time. But there was some stuff that it was mere user error, where it wasn't that we missed the concept, it was poorly executed on our part. Yeah. And then there was one that we just completely missed. Like, all of us did not grasp. And I think if there had been more people contributing to it, I think that eventually someone would have noticed that last little bit and gone, you guys are totally messing this up. But it was what it was. I thought that they did great. I was actually really surprised to hear that they had only been open for a month.
Yeah, so they just opened, and they're getting really, really good reviews. So get out there to Brea and go check them out.
Those good reviews are well earned.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think they're going in the right direction for escape rooms. They're moving past just the puzzles, and they're bringing in story and theatrics and stuff like that. The Bayou scene that you're in, he straight up said that, it was inspired by the Blue Bayou restaurant at Disneyland. So if you're a Disneyland fan, you go in, you'll notice some of the aesthetics. Obviously it was done on a budget, but you'll notice the aesthetics.
But you kind of can't, it doesn't feel like it was done on a budget.
No, it's really well done.
Yeah.
I mean, but if you're comparing it to Disneyland, it's not going to be like...
that's not fair.
The Swamp at Disneyland.
Sure.
But it's really well done. Yeah.
It is. And it's very clever. And, there was a good amount of technical programming that had to happen.
Yeah.
That was done really well.
And you can tell a lot of thought went into the design of the room and how everything is laid out.
Yeah.
It's hard because you don't want to give anything away. But there is it's really well thought out in how the puzzles are spread across the room and how they relate to the story and everything like that. So the progression of the puzzles match the theme of the story and what's going on. So it's pretty cool.
I thought it was great. And we were talking to one of the owners, and he was saying that there's more space that has yet to be utilized. So they're using one of their rooms right now, which isn't even fully being utilized. Like, there's more stuff that they're able to do in there. So they might take that exact same room, switch out the characters, switch out the storyline, and then they've got...
Well, they're not going to switch out the characters. Basically what they're going to do is the current room, there's 5 ghosts that you have to save, basically, from limbo and move them on to the next life. What they're going to do is add 5 more. So there's basically going to be 2 different rooms you could choose from within the same room. So since we did the first set of 5, when they add the next set of 5, we can go back, play the exact same room, but with 5 different story arcs for those ghosts.
That's what I mean.
And 5 different puzzles. But then what they're also going to do is they're going to do a giant combined game of all 10 ghosts for groups of like 20 and more. So you can go and play a gigantic puzzle room with tons of puzzles.
And then they're possibly going to be utilizing more space in the building.
Yeah, so they said they had room for 2 other escape rooms upstairs. So I guess they're going to be working on that as well. So they have lots of room to expand. I'm excited to see what else they do.
I hope that they can build on that. And that's really good too from a production standpoint, because you can have one show that's live, building one, or at least like have one on deck and one in the hole where you're like constructing. You can always have something, in the back pocket waiting. So when this one's done with its run, then, open up the next one or open up 2 of them. You can have 2 open at one time and you're constructing 1. Or it gives them a lot of options as far as constantly keeping their guests coming back.
Yeah.
Because with an escape room, once you go and you know the secrets, then it kind of seems like it's a one and done. Unless you're bringing somebody who has never done it, then
a lot of the escape rooms, if you've done it once, they don't let you come back.
And I can see why.
Yeah.
But the way that they seem to be doing it is they're going to be able to, have the same customers come back, over and over again. Not just like once or twice and then it's over. But if you keep rotating your stories, rotating your puzzles, then that's great. That's
Yeah, and the cool thing with them, using this movie house theme is they can kind of take ideas from movies and kind of create these cool escape rooms based on concepts from movies.
Yeah. Possibilities are endless. And the building itself was great. I think it was a great space to do something like that in. It
was a little hard to find.
Well, Google has a hard time with
Google, it's a new venue. They like to say they've only been open for a month. And the sign isn't, it's in the business park, so the sign is just like on the window, so it's like a tiny little sign. They don't have like a big, large sign up on top, above the door or anything like that. So it was a little tough to find, but it's in that business park if you go.
Which might happen in time. I mean, you and I know how expensive it is to get, electric lights above your door. Like, it's thousands and thousands of dollars, which is stupid, but it is what it is. So that could be something that happens later. They can, get their sign up on the actual wall instead of just the sticker on the door.
Yes.
But I think good things are in the future for that place. At least I hope so.
I think they're on the right path to making something really awesome.
Yeah. What else is fun and exciting?
Midsummer Scream, they announced Halloween Horror Nights panel. It's official. It's going to be on Sunday, July 30th. They also announced Are You Afraid of the Dark panel with some of the creators of the 90s TV show from Nickelodeon, which is going to be awesome.
You could hear the 30-year-olds screaming when they read that post. It was so exciting.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, this is real.
I mean, that's something from our childhood, so.
That's legendary. I used to stay up past my bedtime to watch that show. And then regret it because I'd go to bed all scared.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be incredible. I can't wait for that.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you guys are going to do with the Decay Brigade, but I'm going to be in panels the whole time.
We kind of need you for some stuff.
No.
If that's okay.
It's not happening. Just going to be in panels.
Does Dave know that? Because he kind of relies on you for, like, moving, stunts and... No biggie. You're just, an integral part of our show.
It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
Everything is fine.
I'll get a robot to do it.
Hey, that's not a bad idea. That'd be kind of cool. It can be like a robot, but that's kind of built like Chase so that it can just bend in any position that we need it to, and we can jump over it, or we can limbo under it, or he can contort himself into a little circle, and we can jump through the hoop.
That'd be an intricate robot.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to go, go big or go home. We're going to be throwing AI into this show. We're already throwing everything else at it.
Why not?
Oh, my goodness. Can we talk about the path? No, because without giving away any spoilers. It's kind of a bar alley.
It's been out for a while. So.
Is it like past spoiler territory?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Casey and I have been binge watching this show called The Path. And it is on Hulu. And it's only on Hulu, right?
Yeah.
Is
it's
it
only
one of those?
on Hulu.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's, I'm sure you guys know what it is by now. But, for the sake of clarity, the show is about this movement, like read cult, that lives in New York, and they have patrons, and they have this whole thing, and they've got books and ladders, and you can climb the ladders, and you can be a rung on the ladder and all this stuff. And it's kind of spooky because the dude who has built himself to be in charge is kind of a sociopath and also a psychopath. So, but he's really smart and manipulative, as sociopaths tend to be. So it's been fun watching the adventures. But we watched season 1, and it was exhausting.
Yeah.
And then we took a really long break because we just didn't have the emotional strength to go through that again. It's the same reason why we haven't watched Walking Dead anymore. I know, guys. Please don't let that discredit us in any way, shape, or form. It's an emotional thing. It's a really hard show to watch. And while we appreciate it for everything that it is really hard, and I just can't. I don't have the right meds to be able to put myself through their situations. So I don't. But we decided that we can handle the path. So we watched all of season 2 last week. Stayed up way too late every night to watch this show. And oh my God, it's crazy. And then Michelle Monaghan was on Nerdist, or on the Talking with Chris Hardwick, to talk about what they have planned on season 3 or something she was on. Yeah, I didn't listen to her Nerdist one. It's queued up in my podcasts.
Yeah, she was on the Talking with Chris Hardwick show.
And then I read an article that she did with Aaron Paul with some magazine.
Yeah, so it has Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad. And then it has Michelle Monaghan, who are pretty much the two kind of leads, I guess.
There's not one lead in the show.
Yeah, there's like multiple leads.
Yeah, but there are 2 of them. I
mean, the show's crazy because, like, even at this point, 2 seasons in, you're not really sure where it's going. Like, there's all kinds of just crazy shit going on. You're just like, what?
It's neat though. Like, it really digs into the way people think. And like, Casey and I we're on like the law of attraction kind of mindset. And when you have that mindset, it's really creepy how much like a cult, like this fictional cult kind of like soaks in a lot of that. And I think that's how they get it to be believable, because real cults earn their patrons.
Yeah.
They earn their members by doing something that, has a nice flavor that they can dig on. And, it's just creepy how like the parallels between the law of attraction and right thinking have with this fictional Meyerism, which is what the path is, their fictional movement.
Yeah. And the other cool thing is so you have this movement going on, and when you first start watching, you're like, oh, there's a bunch of crazy hippies, right? Because it's a very kind of hippie-ish movement.
Yeah.
It was started, I guess, in the 60s is the story. And then there's like kind of this leader that everybody talks about. You never see him for a long time. But then there's like these hints that at least some of the characters, there's something more to them. And it's like possibly the origin story of like superheroes and supervillains. Like, but then you're like, the show is very artistic. So things happen and then you're like, well, is that just the director and the writer artistically saying this is how the person is feeling? Or is this thing actually happening? And they leave it very ambiguous. So you're not sure what direction the show is going, because you're like, some shit just happened. Was that real? I don't know.
I like that you just dive in headfirst to the conspiracy theory about this as a superhero origin story.
I think this is an underground superhero story, and eventually it's all going to come out and it's going to be awesome.
What's sad is I totally agree with you. It makes total sense you can disguise, everyone has an origin story. Everybody comes from somewhere.
Yeah.
But it would be really cool if like all of that complete horse shit turned out to actually be something.
Yeah.
Like
and
legitimate.
like the whole idea of like climbing the ladder, because basically what happens is in this cult, they have like this concept of a ladder, right? And each rung you go up, the more involved into the cult that you are.
And the harder it is to
each
absorb.
rung, yeah, and each rung there's like tests and concepts that you have to understand in order to move on to the next rung. Mm-hmm. And to me, it's kind of like those tests they're kind of weeding out who possibly has superpowers and who doesn't. And they're using it to kind of gauge how powerful you are and where to put you in the cult and what kind of powers you have. It's really weird. It's crazy, but that's my thought on the show.
But it could go either way because, like, for instance, like, spoiler alert if we haven't said that already, but like one kid, they go on a retreat and one of them is exhausted. He's sleep deprived. He hasn't eaten in days. He hasn't had any water, and he floats. And you're like, well, if I don't eat or drink anything for days and I don't sleep, I float too. Yeah. Like anybody would. But like, is that an artistic floating? Or is he actually floating? You don't know. It's up to, sorry, my phone's talking. You forget that, like you don't know if, and you get sucked in, you're like, oh my God, he's floating. But then you're like, wait a minute, what? Is he just hallucinating?
Yeah.
And like, you never know because you get so involved in this world, you believe that you can float. You believe that you can talk to whoever you want, living or dead. You get that bizarre cult mindset that I can only imagine because I have no idea what it's actually like. And most of us, I'm sure, as audience members, have no idea what it's like. So we can't know. Like, well, maybe that's just the way that they are, or wow, maybe they really are. Maybe that family really does have something special about them. Yeah. Because the other Michelle Monaghan's character, there's hints that she actually has some kind of superpowers too. Yeah. So it's like, it's not
same
isolated.
With Aaron Paul's too.
Yeah, Aaron Paul definitely has some superpowers.
He has some kind of crazy thing going on.
The girl who plays Sarah Lane. So I keep calling him Jesse. Aaron Paul and Michelle Monaghan play husband and wife. And their kids, like, the daughter hasn't been addressed too much, so I don't know.
No.
But I'm sure she's going to come out of the woodwork and have some epic superpower. But their kid, their oldest son, is demonstrating some superpowers too. And it's more like on the mental side. Like, they showed him floating, but I think he has some sort of like...
He's really good at manipulating the way people think.
Yeah, and it's not a bad thing yet, because that's something you could easily turn into a negative, but he hasn't yet. It's been for the good, because he really believes in this movement, especially after floating. I mean, he's like sold. So anyway, it kind of fits in the context of what we like to talk about, because it's turning into this really bizarre, spooky, almost sci-fi kind of thriller show. And we don't watch a lot of TV, but when we do, we binge watch and we get really sucked in. So, I mean, this was definitely a show that hooked us.
Yeah. So if you have Hulu and haven't watched it, man, check it out. It's interesting.
It's really
sure.
Cool. And the acting is fantastic. It's beautifully shot.
Yeah. I mean, it's extremely artistic. Awesome. It's really cool.
It is. I love it, but God, I'm exhausted after watching it. It's just like, it's just too much.
Yeah.
And the reason that I don't watch a lot of TV, like, aside from cartoons, and this actually may be why I like cartoons as much as I do, is because I get really emotionally involved. Probably way past a fault. And it stays with me and it upsets me, and like I have a hard time emotionally drawing the line between fiction and reality. So I don't like to get involved in dramas, which is funny because as an actor, you know, I get involved with any character that I play, but for some reason watching it on TV makes it much worse for me. When I watch cartoons, I don't have that problem.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Separation.
Yeah. It's like it's easier for me to separate reality from what I'm watching on TV. It's probably something I need to talk to a shrink about, but that's why I just can't. Like, I can't get involved. But watching this show has been really fun.
Yeah.
It's been cool. Exhausting, but
I'm excited for season 3. They were picked up for a 3rd season.
Oh, that reminds me. So the show was supposed to end at season 2. Like, they didn't know if they were going to get picked up. So they actually rewrote the final episode to kind of incorporate all this extra stuff to get ready to lurch them into season 3. So I always think it's cool from the creator standpoint to see, like, you can recognize those changes.
Yeah.
But then that makes you excited, like, what was that going to be? Like, who was going to die? Like, you just don't know.
Yeah, because the interesting thing was the story arc in season 2 was amazing. But for me, the season finale was a little anticlimactic because it felt like it was building to something.
Mm-hmm.
And then it felt like the last episode was kind of a filler for like, hey, season 3's coming. Like, it was like a preview, a preview episode for next season or something. Like, it didn't, you could tell it was rewritten.
You could, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Because now I really want to watch the first episode of season 3. But it's not like, I'm sure they're in the middle of producing it. So, gotta give it some time. But I thought it was cool. Anyway, audience members, if you have suggestions about what we could actually watch to expose ourselves to some culture that's in line with what we like and the things that we do, throw us a suggestion.
Yeah.
We might say, no thanks. Or we might take you up on it. Who knows?
Yeah. And if you have any other cool YouTube videos or strange things that you found out in the interwebs that you want Veronica to watch on the podcast and I can make fun of her for her reactions, go ahead and you can send that to us as well. Post them on our Facebook or whatever. So yeah, you can follow us on Facebook at Tales from the Fog, Instagram at Tales from the Fog. I'm going to put the link on our blog post, which is at talesfromthefog.weebly.com, but you can also go to westcoaster.net to check out Albert's review of the Red Lantern Escape Room. And make sure you like and rate us on iTunes and Stitcher and TuneIn, wherever you listen to us. Like and rate us because it really helps us show up when people actually search for us and they can find us. And I think that's it. Anything else?
That's all I could think of for now.
All right, guys. Until next time, we'll see you in the fog.
Bye, guys.